The island is on the brink of a total apocalypse, and a massive unseen threat is closing in fast. The climax of Season 1 is imminent. It's time to prepare for the showdown, because this isn't just about the thrill of the event. We are looking at consequences that can never be undone. The new island, where we now find ourselves, is Reality 266, which is indicated by the R266 inscriptions on the Battle Pass tab. The central point of this island, also called the Golden Coast, seems to be the Inner Loop Labs, because a fragment of the 0 point is floating in the air right there. This organization is pretty shady. It's not run by Hope and Jones, but is instead a place full of dark secrets and files with classified info on the 7, the 0 point, and the realities of Fortnite. Karina, Golden Coast local, certified I Know What I Saw energy, says Inner Loop calls themselves Guides of Information. But she's basically saying it the way you'd say, "Trust me, bro." She's always found them suspicious, and the hacked files back her up hard. Inner Loop has been here way longer than we have, which completely destroys the idea that Hope and Jones built any of this. And then you go under the island and boom, a whole particle accelerator sitting under Golden Coast like it's been there forever. Let's be real, nobody builds a particle accelerator in a few days unless they've got a time machine or a dev console. Even worse? It's probably powered by a 0 point shard that's just exposed. No containment, no shielding. Just raw reality juice on display like a museum exhibit. Normal island stuff, right? Inner Loop's labs give off heavy Last Reality vibes, the architecture, the colors, the whole Purple Doom aesthetic. But the tech itself runs like it's straight out of the Imagined Order playbook. Same type of gear, same cold efficiency, same energy. And there's also a connection to Dark Voyager, but the documents make it sound like he's not the top dog, more like a key piece on the board. Especially since Agent Jones shows up there, which basically confirms our heroes are somehow allied, or forced into cooperating, with Inner Loop. And that's where things get messy, because Jones doesn't hang around sketchy labs for fun. If he's there, it's either desperation, or a trap dressed like an opportunity. Going through the underground accelerator hits you with a refreshed version of that 0 point tunnel effect from Chapter 2, and the energy running through the machine is 100% 0 point energy. It's the same vibe, the same signature, the same "this could blow up reality if someone sneezes wrong" feeling. So yeah, something is seriously off, and Inner Loop is way too calm about it. Meanwhile, Hope's future visions? Cooked. Either clouded, weakened, or just straight up gone. Because the Last Reality now has control of the spirit realm, where those visions come from. They're basically running it like a VIP Loopers Club. You don't get in unless they allow it. During Chapter 5 and 6, they let Hope see fragments of the future so they could manipulate outcomes, basically using her like a human spoiler leak. But once Phase 1 was done, visions gone, access revoked. End of story. Hope thinks it's either a shard or a bigger darkness behind it, and that bigger darkness basically screams the Last Reality. At Classified Canyon, there's graffiti showing 3 huge purple triangles on an unfinished map, and it's not subtle at all. That's the kind of message you leave when you want people to notice. Fans are already running with the idea that Hope is now dreaming of the nothing, and honestly, with how heavy the symbols are this chapter, that theory isn't just fan paranoia. It's starting to look like foreshadowing with teeth. The main point of Classified Canyon is the bunker with a mysterious code, 7. This links directly to the Origin, the field tactician and commander of the 7, who was designated 7 on his IO prisoner outfit. Since the Origin was once the king of the cubes and the king of the Last Reality, and the Canyon bunker's triangular shape aligns perfectly with the Last Reality logo, the conclusion is that the Origin was imprisoned here. The 7 number suggests he was imprisoned in the 7th IO Research Center, which is the one we are now discovering in Reality 266. Regarding the 7, their latest known status suggests they are scattered across the universe following the Big Bang, with some lost. The Order is on the new island, the Visitor is alive, and the Foundation also did not die, suggesting they were not completely consumed by the Chrome. It's speculated that Dr. Sloan and Jones caused the Big Bang during the Chapter 4 OG season, which not only saved the 0 point from destruction, but also tore the 7 free, scattering them across the Omniverse. The Origin and the Scientist are presumed to still be chromed, while the Paradigm was imprisoned in the Zero Point after initiating the Zero Fusion and was later freed by the Big Bang. The Order's first message, found at a meteor site, confirms she detected an alarm signal from Agent Jones during a scan of the Battle for Reality 783, and upon arriving at the Chapter 7 island, she detected a high concentration of Zero Point energy. Game files also show an updated version of the Zero Point Vault, suggesting the entire first season will focus on rebuilding the Zero Point to its initial state, possibly leading Reality 266 to become the Zero Reality. The game's seasonal trailer also contains a terrifying message that, in addition to calling the entire Battle Royale Phase 1 of the plan, reveals Dark Voyager was in the base reality for about 8 years, the exact time since Battle Royale's premiere, meaning everything happening now ties back to the very beginning of the game. An emblem from a club founded in 2017 confirms the island's long existence. Agent Jones tells that the Seven convinced him to leave the imagined order and fight for a free island. He regrets not fighting when the Nothing sent the Herald to eliminate the Seven, but believes Dark Voyager's appearance gives him a second chance to oppose the Last Reality. Meanwhile, the Last Reality has been tinkering with the loop, causing the storm to change shapes, which will soon include a snowman, a diamond, a heart, and others. The loop itself still exists, and is confirmed to be stable for now. Finally, the Nothing's presence is pervasive in this chapter, with symbols on the walls, hopes, dreams, and strong connections to the TV distortions seen in the Chapter 7 trailer and past chapters. The final event of the last chapter directly impacts what's happening on the island right now. Jones's plan didn't end up being as reliable as a Swiss watch, but at the very least, we managed to defeat the Dark Presence. And at the same time, we freed a fragment of the Zero Point and Oninoshima in the process. The only catch is that the Zero Point fragment yeeted us into a new reality, and as you might have noticed, that kind of transfer left a lot of loopers with a massive hangover. To really dive into all the twists, secrets, and character returns, I went through all the new storylines and came to one conclusion. There is some real weirdness going down on this island. We've got the simulation we were stuck in, a giant sphere floating over the island, aliens hiding in bunkers, film sets, and actors everywhere. So let's take it from the top, because for the first time in a long time, Epic's writers actually managed to surprise me. Instead of a clean slate, Epic has brought back one of the most powerful threats in the game, the Last Reality. They've just arrived on Golden Coast Island in a massive ship commanded by the Dark Voyager. A face, or more precisely a skull, OG loopers will remember from way back in Chapter 1 Season 3. Later, after the Season X reset, he showed up again as Eternal Voyager, and that's when we finally learned that under that helmet, there was nothing but a glowing skull. That pretty much confirmed he wasn't exactly human, though nobody expected him to come back 6 years later, now wielding the power to control the Golden Cubes. To understand why that power is such a big deal, we gotta talk about the Last Reality again, because this squad uses their cubes as foot soldiers with the plan of invading different realities, probably intending to hoard the entire universe for themselves. Back in Chapter 2 Season 8, we found out the Cube Queen was the leader of all of them, basically because she controlled the Golden Cube. In fact, during her mission to invade our island, she summoned her army, which is where we first saw this specific type of ship that is now hovering right above the Golden Coast Island. And actually, the one sitting inside it is the Voyager. With the arrival of this ship on the island, we also get the TV interference shown in the cinematic trailer, where we can read a message that the Last Reality probably meant to send to their own forces. In it, they say that their training and learning phase is complete, and that they've spent 8 years and 9 weeks in base reality, which is basically Battle Royale mode, since that's how long it has existed. According to them, this adds up to 106 billion years, because they're counting the fact that every 20-minute Battle Royale loop can have up to 1 million active matches at once. That's why the total amount of time is literally around 7 times longer than the age of the universe itself. However, during this process, we spotted 2 errors that came up for them. The first was the appearance of the Dark Presence, a villain that emerged from the spirit realm, something that, for now, exists only in the reality of 783. And by the way, he was already defeated in the final event, with Jones bringing in the entire army of collabs. With that victory, they also recovered the fragment of the Zero Point, and this sent Hope, Jones, and us to the new island, I assume to recover another part of the Zero Point fragment. If you don't know what this Zero Point is, let's just say it's like the heart of all the Fortnite islands. And at the end of Chapter 4, well, it exploded. and its fragments were scattered across different realities. This was the same event where Fortnite stopped being just a game and officially became a metaverse. With that cleared up, let's move on to the second error in the message: the anomalies. They had been contained, but with the Voyager's arrival on the island, they've been reactivated. That's exactly why, in every match, we get these random phases where anything can happen in the game. Finally, the TV also shows that Phase 2 has already started, and that a program encoded in human language has been executed. This is probably referring to sending the Voyager to the island. Still, we're left wondering what exactly he's going to do. The thing is, when we talk to Hope about it, she has no idea what this ship is planning to do next. In fact, she also confirms that Daigo and Kendo stayed behind to protect Oninoshima after we helped them save it. This reinforces the idea that when it saved us, the fragment took only us and not the whole island. So I understand that this isn't an error. It's meant to let us help recover the remaining missing pieces. And if you're wondering where that first fragment is now, it's in our possession and is currently being investigated in one of the new zones on the map. With all this, we'd already have plenty to theorize about, but luckily, Fortnite officially showed us this notebook with a reference to the movie Kill Bill just before Chapter 7 started. In it, we see the Imagined crossed out and the Foundation being written in. These two are characters who are part of the team known as the Seven. This group was formed to defeat an organization called the Imagined Order, which is led by Gino, a character who hasn't even appeared in the game yet. We've only seen him in the comics. And by the way, the comics are also where the Imagined dies, which is why she is crossed out in the notebook. This organization also had the 0 Point under its control and used it to trap all the loopers on the island, forcing them to repeat a loop every 20 minutes and lose their memories after finishing it, something the Seven didn't like. That's why a war started between the two sides, which ended with the Seven's victory in Chapter 3, Season 2. It was in the very next season that the Herald invaded the island in the name of the last reality. She had the power to turn people into chrome, and with that, she managed to defeat almost everyone from the Seven. However, a year later, Jones and Sloan joined forces and went back to the past to prevent all the events I just listed. This would explain why the Seven are alive now. When they generated this multiverse, they were also thrown to different locations in the various realities, just like the fragments. For the moment, the only member of this group we know is on this Golden Coast island is the Order, since she left this audio log near the drop pod she arrived in. In these logs, she makes two things very clear. First, we aren't the only ones chasing the fragments. This could mean that in this chapter, we'll also have another rival, like what happened last chapter with the Dark Presence. Second, the Seven are not exactly going through their best moment anymore. In other logs, she mentions the Scientist, another one of her teammates who is known for being the smartest in the group, and even she doesn't know his whereabouts. This supports the theory that each member ended up in a different place and we don't know where. In fact, this makes sense when talking about the original visitor, who, after the 0 Point explosion, could have traveled to the OG reality, which is the same as hers, but taking place in 2025. Anyway, the Order will leave a fourth audio log in the coming weeks, where she'll try to send a message to call the rest of the team to come help her face the Dark Voyager. And actually, going back to him, we have to remember the list of names, where we also saw that the second note was the bus driver, something he has already achieved. Although, during the last week, we did quest to rebuild the bus. As for the rest of the names, I personally have no idea what they could mean. They might refer to the real names of the 7 members, or even to future protagonist skins for upcoming battle passes. And speaking of that, I haven't told you anything about the protagonists of this specific pass. The thing is, with the exception of the Voyager, the other 7 don't have anything very interesting to offer. 2 of them are literally movie collabs, and the other 5 are actors, stunt specialists, and the director of the new movie they're filming on the island, specifically in the zone that's full of alien bananas. If you want to dive deeper into the Imagined Order and the 7 lore, drop a comment so I can prepare a full breakdown for you. Also, to be more familiar with all the drama around the loop and the 0 Point, I suggest you check out this IO vs 7 event.
It's Sloan in the Imagined Order.
Impossible. How did they find us?
I have no clue, but it looks like they have a highly advanced mech, equipped with cutting-edge weaponry and defenses. I was hoping this day would never come, but we must activate the statue.
Oh, you don't have to tell me twice.
Jones, this is serious. This isn't a toy.
Whoa, okay, this is crazy. I'm controlling the statue right now. I didn't think we'd ever get to use this. This is so cool.
Jones, this isn't a game. You're controlling a colossal machine.
Relax, Paradigm. I've got everything under control.
You're not listening. There are millions of lives at stake here. You're humanity's last hope.
Come on, Paradigm. I've trained for this. I got this.
They think they can stand in our way. It's time we put an end to the 7 once and for all. Let's show them what true power looks like.
Paradigm, what's the plan?
Watch out!
This is not fair. Why does she get a giant red laser gun?
Jones, you have missiles. You're just not using them.
Wait, I have... Whoa. Oops.
Now, maybe don't shoot it at our own people.
Oh, why didn't you say that earlier? Take this. I'm starting to get the hang of this.
Jones, you have to be cautious. We're uncertain of Sloane's potential danger.
Engage the drill sequence. Let's extract the 0 point.
Jones, do you copy? What's your status?
Damage is extensive. I'm not sure if I can get her back on her feet.
We can't let the 0 point fall into the imagined order's hands. Our reality depends on it.
Can't let that happen. Going for it.
Jones, we need a plan or something. We can't go head on. We don't have the firepower.
Got this. Sloan won't see it coming.
It's too risky. We need a diversion
This is the
to...
only way.
Going straight in is a recipe for a disaster. We need to...
I've lost control. I can't get it back online.
The robot's core is damaged, but we can bypass the damaged circuits. I'm uploading a patch right now. Hang in there.
Paradigm, it's too late.
It seems your little toy is finally giving up, Jones.
Sloan, you don't have to do this.
You're too late. The plane is already in motion. Reality is mine.
Jones, do you see what I'm seeing?
Any last words, Jones?
Look out. Foundation, you came back for me.
For you, and for the 0 point.
Together we'll safeguard the 0 point and the legacy of the 7, but with you we're unstoppable.
You're right, my friend, but I have to go somewhere.
What?
Far more crucial.
He's so mysterious. Well, I guess it's just me and you now, Paradigm. And one very big robot? What are we gonna do with it? We can't just leave it there, right?
Now?